What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite 10 movies of 2023. And I want to hear about your favorite 10 movies or some of your favorite movies of the year as well. Put that down in the comments section. And before I get into it, I obviously didn't see every movie. In fact, there's quite a few movies that I didn't see that did quite well at the box office. I didn't see Barbie. I didn't see The Little Mermaid. Just kind of movies that didn't really feel like there was something that I would enjoy too much, so I didn't bother to see them. I also didn't see any Marvel movies this year. I'm not too big into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I didn't see the Marvels. I didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Didn't see any of those. Didn't even see the Spider-Man movies this year, so just got to throw that out there before I get into the ranking. Didn't see any Marvel movies, and that's why they're not going to be on the list. But I did see quite a few movies this year, and I'm going to talk about some of my favorites. But first, I have 5 quick honorable mentions. We have Priscilla. This is a movie about Priscilla Presley. I thought this was really well done, and it tells the story of her time with the King, Elvis. Really enjoyed this one. There's Killers of the Flower Moon, a very engaging movie. Obviously, we're talking about Scorsese here. How did this not make the top 10? The subject matter just makes it a little hard to watch, a little bit sickening at times to watch, because it's a rough story, but it's a true story. And that's what makes it super interesting. Obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio, top-notch acting. I mean, it's a great movie, no doubt about it. Just didn't quite hit my top 10. And I'm going to say The Flash as an honorable mention. The only DCEU movie this year that I actually liked. It was the only one I liked. And I didn't expect to like it. But I did. I thought it was pretty good. Not great, not top 10, but pretty good. I want to give it a mention. And then there's Oppenheimer. Now, this movie, I have to also give it a mention because it's clearly a very well done film. We're talking about Christopher Nolan. We're talking about a great cast. We're talking about a super interesting story, but it's just a really, really long motherfucking long movie with not much action. The scene where they test the bomb, that scene was just thrilling. My heart was pumping during that scene. I was feeling it. But then the movie went on for another hour and a half, and there's just a lot of talking, good acting, interesting stuff. But damn, we're talking about 3 hours. Also, Creed 3. This movie I thought had some flaws. I thought it was a little bit far-fetched at times, and I didn't think it was the greatest in the Creed franchise. But I enjoyed it enough. Eventually, we'll be buying that one on Blu-ray, and it was pretty good, pretty damn good. Definitely worthy of being in the Creed and Rocky franchise. So enjoyed it enough, but didn't quite crack the top 10. And also, just to throw a 6th honorable mention, this is a low budget film I just happened to rent on Redbox. I really enjoyed it. It's called The Locksmith, about a guy who was picked locks, got in trouble, went to prison, someone died, ends up getting out, and it shows the story of him trying to get back into regular life. But he's got these temptations to kind of get back into, his locksmithing ability, and it's just a pretty interesting movie. So to throw out let's throw that out there. The Locksmith, not too bad at all. But now let's get into the top 10. At number 10, we got Big George Foreman, and I'm a huge boxing fan. Well, not so much anymore, but I used to be a massive boxing fan, especially during the era when Big George Foreman made his comeback, took on Michael Moorer, and just used to watch a lot of fights. I got into it back in the Mike Tyson era in the 80s. So I love boxing, and I love this movie. This movie tells the story of George Foreman when he was younger, when he went up against Muhammad Ali, obviously Frazier, and all those fights, and then his retirement from boxing, his spiritual journey, and then getting back into it in his 40s, overweight, like no chance, right? No chance. So without any spoilers on what happens, that's the basic journey that most people know about George Foreman, but you got to check this one out. Even if you're not a big fan of boxing or sports or whatever, great story, super well done, amazing acting, loved this movie. Next up is Shift. Now, this one, for some reason, is because of the production company that puts this out. I guess is kind of a Christian-based company or whatever. Whatever the case, this movie's going to be rotten by the critics because you can't be trusted. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to be a Christian at all to enjoy this movie, because this movie simply kicks ass as a kind of science fiction. Yes, the main character is a Christian, okay? Just like millions and millions of people, tens of millions, maybe billions, I don't know, but like, so what? The movie doesn't feel like your typical Christian movie, which I admit those movies sometimes can be tough to watch, especially if you're not a Christian. And, this one's nothing like that. This is a genuine science fiction movie with action, with killing, this thing goes all out. And it doesn't have cussing, which is kind of noticeable. But other than that, this movie just kicked ass. I didn't like the first 10 minutes. There was the cringe scene where a guy meets a girl in a bar, and I thought it was a cringe scene. I'll just say that. But other than that, I freaking loved Shift. Coming in at number 8, we got Talk to Me, an amazing horror film. It seems like every year there's at least one, maybe two awesome horror movies that come out that aren't part of some pre-established franchise. In the last couple of years, we've had Smile. We've had a few others like Antlers that have just blown me away. This year, it was Talk to Me, a film about a bunch of teenagers getting together and they find out some secret hand that they can say, talk to me, and it they enter their body and it just goes crazy. But you got to get out as soon as you can. You stay in too long, you got problems. We don't know what's going to happen. And of course, teenagers being stupid teenagers, eventually they're going to push it too far. And when they do, all hell breaks loose in this movie. Just the horror is there, the suspense is there, and just I thought it was just pretty watchable like that. Not any cringe dialogue or very little anyway. And all in all, just a really solid, scary, freaking horror film. The kind of movie I'm looking for when I go see a horror film. All too often, they fall a little bit short. Okay, there was a few other good ones this year. Thanksgiving was pretty good, but for me, Talk to Me makes the top 10. And we'll have another horror, at least one more horror film on the list. But in number 7 is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I thought this was a much improved movie from the previous one, Fallout. I didn't like Fallout. I felt it was a big fallout from the previous 5. It just felt really convoluted to me. Maybe I need to watch it again for sure. I own it, but I just haven't watched that one again. And then I went to see this one, and I thought it was just the opposite. Pretty easy to follow, pretty exciting, amazing action, great music, great effects. it was just a really great Mission Impossible movie. And this Mission Impossible is one of the best franchises, one of the best action franchises as far as just consistently awesome. Other than Fallout, for me, I've loved them all. This one, I thought it was just clean, good, fun action beginning to end. And I thought it ended in a way that felt pretty satisfying, even though it's part 1. It didn't feel like, I just fucking finished the movie. What happens next? Now I don't know what's going to happen. It felt like it was pretty well contained as its own movie, while also, leaving enough to create another one and leaving me excited for what's going to happen in part 2. So really did enjoy Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Title's a little long, but the movie kicked ass. But coming in number 6, we have Super Mario Brothers. Wow. Now, this is a movie for fans. This is a movie that's actually what people are looking for. If you're a fan of Mario Brothers, most of them are going to love this movie. This movie was also freaking hilarious. Okay, I did not laugh harder at any movie this year. At any movie. Thank you, Jack Black, for that. But I didn't laugh harder at any other movie. Is it the most interesting plot ever written? No. But it's interesting enough because the world building is so awesome. And it's, I assume, just the first. I assume we're going to have a sequel where we can get more deeper into deeper storylines and things like that. But here, you just establish the universe and you have Mario, Luigi, and I also thought that Peaches was awesome. And of course, Bowser is hilarious. And pretty much, it's just a fun movie. Donkey Kong was all right, But all in all, a super fun, hilarious, entertaining movie that respects the source material all day, Super Mario. At number 5, we got Megan. Absolutely love this. A kind of new fresh take on the scary freaking doll that comes alive. Okay, obviously Child's Play is the legendary one. A huge fan of the Child's Play franchise. Although the TV show kind of went downhill. I'm not even watching it anymore. But I thought Megan was excellent. It had some great horror vibes and everything like that. And also a few funny scenes as well. And just all in all, just a solid film. I feel like I can tell that it was filmed kind of to be rated R, but they cut a lot out, and that kind of sucks. There's moments where you're about to see the gore and it falls short. I think if it stayed R, it stayed all the way, it probably would have been ranked even higher. But as is, I thought that this was just a really solid, well done horror film, and I'm going to put it at number 5. But coming in at number 4 might be a surprise. But I thought this film was just an awesome kick-ass action movie. It's called Plane. And it just felt like a throwback to the 80s, a great story, a solid script, a little bit of humor, but mainly just some kick-ass action without being stupid. No interjecting politics and stupid stuff like that, as far as I could tell anyway. It's just a clean, fun, solid action movie. And an interesting, really interesting thought that a plane that has some problems has to land an emergency landing. You land at the closest place, right? You're not worried about, we need to land this plane or we're going to freaking die. So they land somewhere that just happens to be this extremely dangerous country with no government, with a bunch of guerrilla warriors out there that are just going to kill you if they find you. Holy shit, where did we just land? Not to mention there's a prisoner on the plane as well. Oh shit, that throws another wrench into things. So I thought just an awesome story. And then they execute it really well. And I thought I don't think the movie did particularly well, or it's got a lot of buzz or anything like that. I loved this movie. I absolutely loved Plane. It's my 4th favorite of the year. But at number 3, we got Saw X. And oh my God, I did not expect Saw X to be this good. And I'm a hardcore fan of the Saw franchise. I reviewed every movie in the franchise on this channel. Love Saw. I loved almost like the first 5 movies. Even part 6, I think, was okay. Now, the final chapter, that's when it started to go downhill for me. I thought that one was not that great. I thought that the next one, Spiral, sucked. And I thought that from the Book of Saw, not Spiral, but Jigsaw, I thought that one sucked. And Spiral from the Book of Saw, I thought was okay at best, but very predictable, not that great. And then this movie comes out, a character study on freaking John Kramer, goes down to Mexico to get an emergency surgery, hopefully to cure his cancer, finds out he got completely scammed, and he's going to go after these mother effers. Oh my God, John Kramer out for revenge? Yes, I'm all in.
You know, it's one of those ideas where you're just like, yes!
And the movie was unbelievable. It was amazing. But the gore, holy shit, it was over the top in an awesome way. Also, sometimes in a little bit of a far-fetched, like, yeah, no, that person would pass out from shock. I mean, we got people ripping their brains out of their head. I mean, it's just gets a little bit far-fetched. The traps, I think, go a little too far over the top. But this movie was freaking awesome. One of the best in the Saw franchise. Coming in at number 2, Equalizer 3. Denzel is my favorite actor. And this movie was absolutely awesome. It's everything I wanted from an Equalizer movie. I love the first one. Second one, it was pretty good. Not quite as good though. And this one makes total sense. It's time to retire. It's time to sit back and retire. Denzel's character is getting a little older here. So he retires to a nice, beautiful Italian town. He's loving it. The people are great, but there's a little bit of a mafia problem. And it's really hard for him to just try to stay low and let this pass. And you knew sooner or later he was going to get involved. And that's when shit takes off. And it's freaking thrilling from there. It's just a lot of awesome aspects to this movie. Great music, great action, and a great story as well. And so Equalizer 3, love it. Absolutely love it. It comes in at number 2. But I had to put, and after some long thought, I was thinking about where to put this. And I realized, you know what? It's got to be number 1. John Wick, Chapter 4. The more I think about this movie, the more I want to freaking watch it again right now, because this movie had everything that you could possibly ask for in a John Wick movie. At this point in time, all John Wick wants is his retirement. He just wants to be, he wants out. He wants out. And it ain't that easy. You have one major challenge left to do that. And that's what this kind of movie is about. You get more world building though, the high table, and et cetera, et cetera. The whole world of John Wick is just fascinating. The franchise is unbelievable. How that first movie just set up a little bit. They didn't push it too far with the world building. Just set up like they, even though they didn't really know at that time that this was going to turn into the franchise that it has. That's why it was just such a well-done first movie that propelled that second movie, which was just mind-blowingly awesome. Everything that was awesome about the first one gets magnified John Wick 3 was pretty awesome, but this one, even better. And just love the action in this one. Seems to just outdo itself. The only complaint I even could come up with about John Wick Chapter 4, I mean, check out my review. I might have had another couple of negatives, but from what I can recall, the only thing I can say is there are times when John Wick does seem to be straight up indestructible. Like, sorry, no one can survive some of the stuff that he survives. He is, after all, supposed to be a human, I think, but I can't tell from that movie. But that's the only complaint I have. John Wick Chapter 4, absolutely stellar, top notch, and absolutely loved it. So I'm going to have to put that one in at my number 1 for 2023. So there you have it. Top 10 movies for 2023. Those are some of my favorites. Obviously, I didn't see every movie, and I'm sure there's some awesome low-budget stuff that I didn't check out. Just not enough time, unfortunately, to watch every single movie that gets made. I wish I could, but not possible. So these are some of my favorites, but let me know what you guys think in that comment section down below. And also, do you want to see the top 10 worst movies? All I need is one person to say yes, and I'll start making it right now.